Am I the only one who thinks this is embarrassing at this point? Because this game has been out since like October 28th, and it is now December 9th. Nice. Anyways, what's going on, guys? It's Greg here today, and I'm bringing you a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 comprehensive settings guide. I haven't made one of these videos in a very long time, and I have some plans for some other videos that are going to deal with getting used to certain game mechanics, such as recoil control and those other things, and your settings are going to play a factor in it. So I would like this to be kind of a preliminary video to get you guys set up with some settings, because I see that some of you guys have been saying you can't find certain settings whenever I recommend them. So I'm just going to go through everything real quick. And the first one I want to start with is one that I've been preaching to people, and that is, if you go to your kill streaks, you can see in the bottom left corner, it says R2 for score streaks. If you want to run score streaks instead of kill streaks, because you're someone who likes to play objective more, or you want to be rewarded for certain tasks you're doing, press that button, and boom, you got score streaks. So I just want to point that out real quick, because depending on how you play the game, this can definitely help you out. Anyways, should I make a tutorial on how to navigate Hulu? I mean Modern Warfare 2. Because this menu is really bad. As you guys know, the UI is very non-intuitive, and as you guys can see here, it's pretty, yeah. But if you guys are still having trouble with the menu, let me know. I can maybe try to help you guys out with that regard. But anyways, if you go over here, right, we scroll over from our main part to settings. We'll get to our settings. And again, I'm on PC with a controller, so I'm not really quite sure how console's going to be with all the different settings and options you have. So I'm not going to spend too much time on graphical settings, but I will go over it for my PC friends here. But I'm going to start off with our controller settings, because I know the majority of you guys are on controller, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, if you're on keyboard and mouse, you have my sincere respect, okay? I generally wouldn't touch on this topic, but keyboard and mouse on Call of Duty is no bueno, okay? Not good. It is, in my opinion, as someone who's played both inputs, and I used to play a lot of Counter-Strike very heavily years ago, and I can tell you for a fact, keyboard and mouse has a significant disadvantage in Call of Duty. So if you are someone who grinds this game on keyboard and mouse, you have my utmost respect. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, I have not changed anything with keyboard and mouse settings, so I'm not going to go through them. To be honest with you, anyone who plays keyboard and mouse, I recommend you get yourself a controller if Call of Duty is the game you like to play. I hate to say that, because I love keyboard and mouse, and I'm honestly so washed at it because I've not played it in years, due to the fact that I switched to controller for Call of Duty. But I'm only going to cover controller settings. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive into controller settings here, and obviously you want your aiming input device set to controller. Your button layout. Button layout is something that you can actually customize in this game, and I would highly recommend this if you get familiar with the game. Let's say you're not a new player and you are already familiar with Call of Duty. You could definitely switch these around to something you want and feels better for you. Especially if you're not someone who wants to invest into a controller like I use here, which is a Scuff Impact. If you're somebody who uses, a default controller, you don't have any special buttons on it, I would definitely recommend diving into this. But for the pure basics and getting used to Call of Duty if you're a new player, I'm going to tell you right now, I think there are two options you should use in the presets. So number one is going to be tactical, and this is going to switch your stance to R3, which is this button right here. You click it, and you'll be able to change your stance, which means going to crouch or prone. And you can also dive and all that kind of stuff with this. This is very important, because in this game, it's how you're going to be able to get up from cover, peek people, and all that kind of stuff whenever it comes to cover. Now, if you're someone who's more aggressive and you're not going to be using a lot of cover, then you're going to want to use stick and move. And stick and move puts jump on your R3, so you can jump shot and do all that kind of stuff. which jump shotting and all that kind of stuff has been kind of nerfed in this game. So in my opinion, if you want my absolute opinion on which one is the most useful, I would say tactical is definitely more useful in Modern Warfare 2 compared to Modern Warfare 2019, where I would have recommended stick and move. Now, I play on default because, like I said, I have a Scuff gaming controller that has 4 paddles on the back, so I got all of my shape buttons on the back of the controller, so that helps me out a lot. And then this one's going to be up to you. So here's the thing. Flipping R1 and R2, or flipping, like, aiming with L1 and R1 compared to R2 and L2, you want to use this if you feel that it's a more comfortable grip, or if you want more precise fire rates between semi-auto guns or burst firing weapons. The reason being is you won't have to pull the trigger more, and it's going to have more response time, which is going to mean you can pull the trigger much faster and all that kind of stuff. Now, as for me, I have mouse, I'm not going to click them too much, but I have mouse buttons. So these don't have any pull, they're just click. And that helps out a lot with not having to switch to L1 and R1. I personally don't like it because I got small hands, but I'm going to tell you right now, 99% of pros will use this setting. I'm not a pro. Just want to point that out real quick. Your stick layout presets. This is something I never mess with unless your brain works a different way. Then I would definitely dive into this. But I'm going to tell you right now, for the majority of people, default is what you want to run. Controller vibration. If you are someone who cares about immersion, then I could understand maybe having this on. And then if you're on a PS5 controller, maybe there's haptic feedback. I mean, again, if you don't care about the most competitive advantage, then I would say controller vibration is fine to keep on. But if you are someone who wants a more competitive advantage, turn it off. And the reason you want to turn it off is because it's going to make fine-tune aiming much easier, because you're not going to feel your hands shaking all over the controller whenever you are shooting at somebody. So it's going to help allow with muscle memory and trying to stay consistent. As for my stick sensitivity, I used to play on 2020 back in the day, and whenever I started playing more competitively years ago, before I quit competitive, I went down to around 5 and 6, and I never went over 7 in recent years. I tend to stay with 6.6, and if we go into the firing range real quick, let's go ahead and do that. As you guys can see, it's decently quick. It's not slow by any means, and I feel that I have pretty good control, especially fine-tune aiming. And overall, it's a sensitivity that fits for me. But as for sensitivity, I would recommend trying out a lot of different sensitivities and see what works best for you. If you're wondering something I would never recommend, it is below 3. 3 is the absolute minimum I would run, because if you go down too slow, you're just not going to have fast enough reaction times when skill-based matchmaking starts kicking up for you, and you're going to have a very bad time. I'm telling you right now. If you're someone who's new to the game and you really find these sensitivities comfortable, that's okay, but I'm telling you right now, it's going to cost you whenever you start improving and skill-based matchmaking really starts kicking in. I would also, in my opinion, I don't think there's a limit on controller of how fast a sensitivity is you can go because of aim assist. I will say that for the most competitive advantage, somewhere between 3 and 8 is definitely best, but there is no correct answer, because again, it all depends on how your brain works with the controller and what you feel is most comfortable for you. I would not recommend changing this a lot over time, as you're going to want to build muscle memory, and a lot of people get into this bad habit where they're constantly switching around their sensitivity because their aim doesn't feel as good. Now, I will be going over a video on aiming and recoil control, but I will give you guys a quick tip real quick. Watching your own gameplay, if you're overshooting or undershooting a lot, and we'll get into more what this means, but basically a quick explanation is if you're aiming past your target or before your target, and see how you're aiming. If you're aiming past your target, you're going to want to slow down your sensitivity. If you're aiming before your target and you're not catching up, then your sensitivity is too slow. So that's my recommendation for that. Now, ADS sensitivity multiplier, I keep this at 1.00. I do not like to mess with my sensitivities, and I try to keep everything uniform. If you don't know what that means, uniform means everything is pretty much the exact same from the hip, ADS, whatever. Now, it's obviously it's going to be slower when you're ADS'd, but that's just how controller is. But I try to keep it as tied and true to what I used to play on back in the day, as well as uniform as possible, so that way my muscle memory can stay consistent. I don't want to have confused muscle memory. It's all over the place. Sensitivity multiplier, again, 1.00. I just don't like messing with this. I want my aim to be as consistent as possible. The only time I would ever really say that this would be useful is for high scopes, so you can flick a little bit easier, but again, I still don't even mess with that. Vertical aim axis, I'm going to be honest with you, I play on standard. It just depends on how your brain works, you know. If you want to pull up to look down, then you can use that. If you want to look down to go up, then you can use that. But my brain does not work that way. I do know that there were some really successful players who do play that way. I'm not saying it's, you can't. It just depends on how your brain works. Gameplay, aim down sight behavior, hold. Don't put this on toggle because it's not good. You're going to have to press too many inputs, which is going to slow down how you play. Change zoom shared input. So I'm actually going to put this on melee. They might have just added this because... Okay, they definitely did. So this was not here on launch, and I am so happy that they added this because... Allow me to explain something to you guys. So whenever you're sniping, let's say you have a sniper, and you want to hold your breath. Normally, if you have it on hold, okay, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to hold down the thumbstick. Now, strafing is a very important mechanic, which we'll get into in that other separate video, but you can't strafe and hold at the same time with ease. But if you can just have it on a toggle where you just click, and then you can just strafe back and forth until you run out of breath, it's much easier. You get what I'm saying? Less input, more control. And then I'm going to have zoom shared input on melee because I don't want to be trying to hold my breath and then switching zooms. So I'm so happy they finally added this to the game because this was missing at launch, and it made sniping, in my opinion, a nightmare, especially for more traditional sniping rather than quickscoping. Automatic sprint. I don't think it's good in this game. In Warzone 1 and Modern Warfare 2019, a lot of people played with automatic tactical sprinting because of slide canceling and all those kind of techniques. That has been pretty much nerfed to the ground in this game, which I'm not going to make an opinion-based video on that. But I will say that I personally think that automatic tactical sprint is a waste of time in this game. The only reason I would ever use this is if you're worried about your controller having less of a lifetime because you're going to be clicking the button a lot. But I like having control over my movement, so I do not play with automatic tactical sprinting. Equipment behavior, hold, again, toggle, too many inputs. You don't want, less is better, okay? Less is better with inputs. Weapon mount activation, ADS melee, fine with that. Interact reload behavior. If you're playing Warzone, you're probably going to want to do prioritize interact or reload, depending on what you see as fit. I would say interact is better because I would rather close doors over reload if that's available. But I mostly play multiplayer, and in my opinion, tap to reload is the most important thing because I would rather reload instead of grabbing something else like a gun off the ground or something like that because I want to keep my gun. Because I'm not gonna lie with you guys, majority of people have no clue what they're doing when they build class setups, and I hate other people's setups. They are just atrocious. So that's why I use tap to reload. I do not want to pick up a random gun. Armor plate behavior, I have that apply all, and the reason I have it on apply all is because I don't want to apply one at a time and have to keep re-putting on buttons. You could just cancel it if you click the button again. Again, less input is better. Advanced settings. This is very important. Do not skip over this. Target aim assist. On. If you turn this off, just play mouse and keyboard, okay? Throw your controller in the garbage and go get a mouse and keyboard. There is no reason to turn off aim assist. You are doing yourself a massive just disadvantage. You're putting yourself at such a massive disadvantage. There's no reason to. No reason to. Aim assist type, I use default. I'm not going to go into the other ones. I think you should use default too. Okay? Just my opinion. Focusing is for new players. Don't use it. Build up proper muscle memory. Use default. It's better in the long run. Black Ops, you could try Black Ops if you wanted to. A lot of pros use Black Ops. I personally don't notice a difference, but maybe they're onto something I'm not. I use default. Gyro behavior off. I do not aim with gyro. I would not recommend it. Unless it is the meta, I don't know, but I have never heard of anyone using it. Gravity vector. Again, I have gyro on, so this doesn't matter. So all this gyro stuff, we're not going to go over, because don't use gyro. Aiming. Aim response curve. Dynamic is the best. And you're probably wondering, why are you on standard then? Well, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm stubborn, and I refuse to change. Dynamic, I don't know if there is a single professional player or high-skill player that still uses standard. Like, I swear I am one of the only people I know on this planet who is still playing on standard that plays, like, at a high level. I just don't know anybody who's not dynamic. Dynamic is such an advantage in close quarters gunfights. You have great control out the medium ranges. The only time dynamic kind of sucks is if you're trying to kill someone that's maybe 200 meters away, but let's be real here. How often are you actually doing that? So, yeah, standard. If you want to be like me, and maybe you like the way I aim or something, and you want to try replicate that, I mean, go ahead, but I'm telling you right now, if your muscle memory hasn't been developed yet, and you aren't afraid to change, go dynamic. Just do yourself the favor. It's busted, okay? There's a reason literally every single person in the Call of Duty League uses it. ADS sense multiplier focus, again, 1.00. I do not want to change any of that. I want to keep it uniform. ADS sensitivity transitioning timing instant. You just want it to be as fast as possible, because you want to adjust your muscle memory for whether you're ADS or you're hip firing. You want things to be instant, because you don't want to have to build up extra muscle memory for something that's going to be gradual or after zoom, because it's going to feel clunky until, you know, you're ADS fully. So I just recommend putting on an instant, so that way you get two different multipliers, because obviously, like I said before, they are different. They're not the same exact sensitivities, but having it instant will make it so there's no awkward transition. And I think this is default. Custom sensitivity per zoom, again, like I said, maybe you might want to turn it up for like the high zooms, maybe to like 1.2 or something if you're on a really low sense. But if you're on dynamic, don't even bother with this, because dynamic is going to make your controller feel a lot more snappy anyways, so no point. Inputs dead zone, this is a very important setting, so I have mine at 0.05 for the left and right stick, and then for the left and right triggers at 0.13. Honestly, I could probably turn these down to 0, because, like I said, I have mouse clicky buttons, but you just want to keep this at 0.99. These ones I would change. I wouldn't change these if you don't have a SCUF controller that has mouse clicky buttons, because you're going to accidentally press these buttons if your fingers are resting on it, and if you don't have at least a little bit of a dead zone, then it's going to be bad. But for your left and right stick min, you want to go into private match, and you want to load in, and you want to like move around your thumbstick, spin around circles, whatever it is. You can even do it in the firing range, and basically you want to just adjust it to where you don't have stick drift. Mine happens to be 0.05, but less is better, but do not have it to the point where you're going to have stick drift, or else you're going to be in for, well, a bad time trying to aim. Movement behaviors, sprint, tactical sprint behavior, toggle, again, less is more, less input is more. Auto move forward, don't use this. Don't. you're not going to have good control over your movement. Tactical sprint behavior, single tap to sprint. I use this because double tapping is going to be the reason that your controller wears out fast. If you have single tap, it's not going to wear out as fast, and it will just instantly use tactical sprint. If you have tactical sprint be available, if you still want to have a double tap for tactical sprint, you can put it on single tap run, and if you're already running and then you press tap on, or if you press L3, you tap it, it will go into an automatic tactical sprint. Sorry about that, a little bit of brain fart here. Grounded mantle, I have this off because I really do not want to auto mantle over things. I just hate automatic mantling. I wish it didn't exist. It still exists to some degree. It is what it is. So personally for me, I have all these turned off. And then my slide and dive behavior, I just keep it standard. Apparently people use invert. I don't know. I don't like holding to slide. I like tapping to slide and then holding to dive. Plunging underwater, I just keep this normal. Look down and then press the sprint button to go underneath. Parachute auto deploy, if you're playing Warzone or something like Ground War or something, you're gonna want to have this turned off. So that way you can have better control over when you're going to hit the ground. Just remember to press the button in a timely manner or you will break your legs and die. Sprinting door bash, I keep this on just so I can break through doors without having to press inputs. Again, less is better. I'm going to keep preaching that. Ledge hang mantle behavior, we have this on at mantle only. Just so that way it's... I still don't know. It feels kind of weird, but I haven't tested movement based yet, and yeah, I might try it out, but right now I just have it at mantle only. I don't really see the difference. Combat behaviors, I don't really mess with any of these. Pretty much keep them the same as default. So that's going to be the controller settings. Graphics. Full screen exclusive is going to have crashing issues. I made a video on this, and as you can see, I crashed on startup at the beginning of this video. Full screen exclusive is very good for the lowest amount of input lag imaginable, which, as you can imagine, this is something you want to use because input lag is really going to affect your aim. So you want to have it as low as possible. Now, again, this is a PC-only feature because on a console, you're already in full screen, so you don't have to worry about it. Again, you want to use the highest refresh rate possible on your monitor, and I would recommend playing at least 120. A lot of people on console are now at 120, so if you're on PC and you're still playing at like 60, and trust me, guys, I know so many people have this. If you're on console and you're listening to this part, let me tell you something right now. The majority of people on PC do not have an RTX 3080 Ti. They do not have 165 Hz. If you're actually curious of what the average PC is, about a year or two ago, they did a survey on Steam, and the average person was still playing at 60 FPS with a 10 series graphics card, which I'm telling you right now, if they're on a 10 series and the average person's not on a 1080 or, 1080 Ti, they're pulling like 75 frames tops, okay? So your PS5 and Xbox Series X is better than 90% of PC players. So yes, you have an advantage over PC players. Anyways, screen refresh rate. I would, again, past 144, I say it's negligible at best. You're not going to feel it, okay? We're talking about fractions of a millisecond. So the difference between 120 to 143 is probably even like less than 1 millisecond. So again, I wouldn't worry about too much, but at least 120 hertz refresh rate you want to play on. And if you don't have it, I would suggest investing into it for the future. I play at 165. I do have a 240 hertz monitor. It's 1080p. I'd rather play in 1440p. That's just me. So I play in 1440p, dynamic resolution off. Vertical sync, this is important if you're on PC, turn it off. It adds a lot of input lag. Custom frame limit, this is up to you. I keep mine at 165, and the reason for that is it's just the maximum refresh rate of my monitor, and I like consistent frames over frames are going all over the place because your input lag is tied to your frame rate, and if it's going to be inconsistent, then your input lag is going to be inconsistent, which is bad for muscle memory. Shader optimization, don't have to worry about that. So that stuff we don't have to worry about. Quality, custom, and then these settings are just what I have it to. These are nowhere near the best graphical settings for you to run. It's just what I customized it to. So if you really want to copy that, it's up to you. But I'm not here to go over it, because if you want to know what the absolute best is, turn everything down to lowest possible and you'll get the most frames. But that's why, for me, minimum is going to give you guys the best frames possible. I play on my own to make it look the way I want it to look. View, we have FOV. I play on 105 FOV at affected. It's just a personal preference. You can play on the default of 80. Your recoil will feel higher than someone who's on 105, but your actual recoil control and the horizontal spread is going to be the exact same. And I would actually say you would have an easier time controlling higher magnitude recoil on 80 FOV, because you have more control over your recoil pattern when you're actually getting more recoil than less. I know that might be hard to understand, but I'll explain it in the recoil control video. But that doesn't mean you can't have good aim on 105 or 80 or 60, whatever it is you want to play on. I don't like max for multiplayer. It might be nice if you like it, but I play on 105. That's what I'm comfortable with, and that's why I play on. Again, affected because I want my aim down sights field of view to be somewhat close to my hip fire field of view. Weapon field of view, I like it just normal. If you want it to like zoom out and you want it to be further away, then go ahead and put on wide. Or if you want to be closer, put on narrow. I just keep it at default. Wide vehicle field of view, and maxed out on the field of view for third person, just so I could see my surroundings. Camera shake, I want the least amount of camera shake, so that way my aim can be as steady as possible. Going back for audio, I have my master volume turned down a lot because I'm usually in Discord calls and I want to hear my friends over footsteps. I just prioritize talking to my friends rather than sound horning for footsteps. But it's up to you how you want to play. Headphone bass boost is definitely probably the best one. And everything else I just keep default. I actually normally like subtitles, but in this game I don't really see it as needed as previous CODs, because the information area in the upper right hand corner actually works in this game. So that's why I don't use that. And everything else is the same. Interface is the last one I want to go over. So if you're on Xbox, you guys have been telling me that the vertical and horizontal heads-up display bounds do not have any option. I would check your Xbox's settings. It might have options there. I do not play on Xbox. I have not played on Xbox since the 360, so I cannot help you there. But I will say that if you don't see these options, check your console's settings in the display, and they might have it there. But everything else I just keep default. Color customization, this is for if you're colorblind. You can change around colors. I might start messing with this a little bit to what I want it to be, but I would definitely, try this out if you're colorblind. It will really help you out. And there's even some filters, if you really need some extra help with that. I am partially colorblind, I will say that, so I do feel for you guys that are also colorblind. And then the rest of it, I just keep it at default. Except for telemetry. Telemetry, this is more PC related. I turn on pretty much everything because I like to know what's going on with my PC and making sure everything's running healthy. And I have parallax effects off because apparently this was causing crashing. I also keep a center dot turned on because I want a very consistent center dot on the center of the screen, so I'm constantly centering my crosshair properly. And I keep it at default size. But that's going to be today's video for settings. I hope this helped you guys out. I know it's pretty long, and I hope these in-depth explanations helped you guys out. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe. Like if you are new, like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you on the next one. Peace out.